Have you ever seen the look in a child's eyes when they pull away from a hug, not out of dislike, not out of fear, but out of something they can't even explain? That happened to Margaret one Sunday afternoon. Her granddaughter Ella, just 7 years old, leaned in close to her mom and whispered, "Why does Grandma smell funny?" It wasn't said to hurt. It wasn't cruel. It was just the kind of raw, honest truth children speak so easily. But those few words struck Margaret like a thunderclap in her chest. She had always prided herself on being clean, well-kept, and meticulous. A daily bath, fresh clothes, a spotless home. And yet her granddaughter didn't want to sit on her lap anymore. She sat far at the edge of the couch. She held her breath during goodbye kisses. She squirmed when Margaret reached out to cuddle. That night, lying in bed with the room dim and quiet, Margaret blinked up at the ceiling, replaying the moment over and over. Is it true, she wondered? Do I smell like an old person? It wasn't a question filled with vanity. It was soaked in sadness. Because when people start pulling away, especially the people you love the most, it hurts in a way that's hard to explain. It makes you wonder if you're fading somehow, if you're losing parts of yourself that once brought others closer. But here's the truth, and it might surprise you. Yes, there is something very real that happens to our bodies as we age. A change, a scent. And no, it's not because you're dirty. It's not because you stopped caring. It's not even because of poor hygiene. The cleanest, most fastidious seniors in the world can still give off a scent that others, especially younger folks, pick up instantly even if they never say a word. Why? Because this isn't about soap or shampoo. This is about biology. Now, I know this isn't exactly a fun topic. Most people avoid it like the plague. Even doctors don't really talk about it. But we should. Not to shame anyone, but to set people free from confusion, insecurity, and isolation. Because once you understand what's happening, you can fix it. And when you fix it, something amazing happens. Your confidence returns. You feel proud again. Your grandkids cuddle up close. Your hugs feel safe and warm again instead of awkward or avoided. So let's talk about it. Gently, honestly, respectfully. Let's talk about why older adults smell different and what you can do starting today to feel clean, confident, and connected again. Here's what's really going on as we age. 3 key changes happen in the body. First, we sweat less. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't that a good thing? Well, yes and no. You see, when we're younger, our bodies use sweat as a way to flush out waste. Even if you didn't realize it, you were probably sweating out nearly a quart of toxins, dirt, and oils every single day. But after 60, sweat glands slow down. In some people, that daily output cuts in half. And when the body doesn't push out waste through sweat, guess where it goes? It sits on the skin. It feeds the bacteria living there. And that mix creates a kind of sour, musty odor that's hard to describe but instantly familiar. It's not something you notice on yourself, but your grandkids do, strangers do, even your grown children do. They're just too kind or too uncomfortable to bring it up. The second change has to do with your skin's oil. After 50, the body starts producing a compound called 2-non-enal, a type of fatty substance that only appears in older adults. It's released in the oil your skin naturally produces, especially around the neck, back, chest, and head. And this compound carries a very distinct scent. It's not strong like perfume. It's subtle. But it lingers. It clings to clothes, hair, even your pillowcase. Think grassy, a little oily, a touch stale. It's often called old person smell. And here's the frustrating part. No amount of spraying or covering it with cologne really works. In fact, many scented products only make it worse, like spraying air freshener in a musty room. It doesn't remove the smell, it just adds another layer. And the third change. It's one that hits close to home for many. It's dry mouth. As we get older, our bodies produce far less saliva than before, sometimes half as much. And that's a big deal. Saliva doesn't just help you swallow. It plays a powerful role in cleaning your mouth, neutralizing acid, and washing away food particles and bacteria. Without it, your mouth becomes a haven for odor-causing germs. You can brush 3 times a day, floss and rinse, and still have bad breath if your saliva isn't doing its job. It's not your fault. It's just biology. Now take a moment. Breathe. If any of this feels personal, it's because it is personal. You're not alone. This is something nearly every older adult experiences at some point. But very few talk about it. So they're left guessing, wondering, or even feeling ashamed. That's not okay. You deserve better. You deserve to understand your body. You deserve to feel fresh, respected, and confident at any age. The good news is, every single one of these biological changes has a solution. And not a complicated one either. You don't need some fancy treatment or an expensive trip to the doctor. You don't need 10 different lotions or sprays or miracle pills. What you need are a few simple, gentle habits you can do every day. Habits that take just a few minutes but make a world of difference. Habits that help your body feel balanced, refreshed, and yes, smell clean again. Let's start by focusing on something most people overlook: where you wash. Because the truth is, most seniors bathe regularly. But even with a daily shower, there are spots that often get missed. And those little spots, they're where most of the odor hides. Skin changes shape as we age. It softens. It folds. It creates new creases in places you may not have even noticed. Behind the ears, under the arms, beneath the breasts, around the belly button, in the groin, behind the knees, inside the elbows. These are the places that trap sweat oil, dead skin, and bacteria. They're harder to reach and sometimes easy to forget. But they matter. A lot. Because those little warm, dark folds, they're like playgrounds for bacteria. One of my patients, Susan, 66 years old, said something to me once I'll never forget. I've taken daily showers for years, she told me, but I never thought to really clean behind my ears or under my chest. After you told me, I started scrubbing gently with a soft cloth, and suddenly my granddaughter hugged me again. Her voice cracked with emotion when she said it. Because sometimes it's not about being cleaner. It's about being aware. So the next time you shower, take a moment. Use a soft washcloth. Gently reach those creases and folds. Use warm, not hot water. A mild soap. Nothing fancy. Just gentle attention to the places most people forget. And once you've taken care of those hidden folds, let's talk about another area. Most people completely forget the hair. Not just the hair on your head, but the areas where hair traps sweat and oil, like the chest, underarms, and even the belly for some men. Hair naturally collects sebum, the skin's oily secretion. And as we age, that sebum becomes thicker and more prone to holding on to odor, especially the kind created by 2-nonenal. The problem isn't that the hair is dirty. It's that most people, especially older adults, don't clean it deeply enough. Even if you shampoo regularly, you might not be massaging your scalp the way you used to. You might run the soap through rinse and move on. But the real cleansing happens in the massage. That movement lifts the oil, loosens the buildup, and helps wash away the smell at its source. Tom, one of my more skeptical patients at 62, once said, "You told me to spend 30 seconds really massaging my scalp. I thought it was silly, but I tried it. And after a week, my wife leaned in and said, 'Your head smells fresh again.' I was shocked. I didn't even know it had smelled bad to begin with." That's the thing, so many of these changes, happen quietly, subtly over time. We don't always notice them ourselves, but the people around us do. So when you shower, take those extra few moments. Use your fingertips. Get in there gently in circles. Feel the skin under the hair. And don't forget to rinse thoroughly and dry completely, because damp hair, especially in warm places, like underarms or chest hair, can hold on to that scent and make it worse. Now, let's move down a bit to the areas we walk on all day, but often treat as an afterthought: our feet. Think about it. Your feet are enclosed in socks and shoes for hours at a time. They're packed with sweat glands, and they sit in a warm, dark, often moist environment, exactly where bacteria thrive. Even if your body is otherwise clean, if your feet smell, that odor follows you into every room you enter. John 68 came to me after his daughter-in-law kept cracking open windows every time he visited. I didn't get it, he told me. I showered. I changed my clothes. But then I realized I never really scrubbed between my toes. Just a few changes made all the difference. He started washing his feet thoroughly, drying carefully, and rotating his shoes. Now, he laughed, my granddaughter sits next to me again. Even at the dinner table. It's a little thing, but it matters. When you wash, take care of your feet. Really scrub between your toes. Use warm water and soap. Dry them fully, especially before you put on socks. Rotate your shoes so they have time to air out. Sprinkle a bit of baking soda inside if they tend to hold odor. And wear breathable cotton socks that help wick moisture away. These tiny habits add up. Now we've talked about washing. Let's talk about what goes on inside the body. Because the truth is, smell doesn't just come from what's on your skin. It comes from how your body processes waste. And that starts with one of the simplest acts of care: drinking water. More specifically, warm water first thing in the morning. You've probably heard "drink more water" 100 times. But here's the twist: warm water, especially on an empty stomach, helps flush toxins out gently through your kidneys and bladder before they have a chance to sit in your system, seep into your sweat, and escape through your skin. Cold water can be jarring to your digestive system, especially first thing in the day. But warm water, it soothes. It moves things along naturally. Margaret. Yes, the same Margaret whose story we started with told me I swapped out my morning coffee for one glass of warm water. Within a week, my stomach felt better. My skin felt better. And my granddaughter, well, she stopped avoiding me. That's the power of simple changes. Here's what you can do. Start your day with one warm glass, around 8 ounces. Then spread out 5 more throughout the day. Before lunch, mid-afternoon, before dinner, after dinner, before bed. Don't worry about being perfect. Just try to stay consistent. And here's something important: coffee and tea don't count. In fact, caffeine actually dehydrates you. So if you drink a cup of coffee, balance it with an extra glass of warm water. Now, while water clears your system from the inside, sunlight helps refresh you from the outside. I'm not talking about hours of sunbathing or intense exercise. I'm talking about something far more manageable and even more powerful: a slow walk in the morning or evening sun. You see, most seniors I meet say they're too old to exercise. I understand that. Knees hurt, joints ache, energy feels low. But you don't need to hit the gym or power walk around the block. A gentle 20-minute walk just once or twice a day can do wonders. When you move, you sweat lightly. That sweat helps remove waste. When you're outside, the sunlight helps kill surface bacteria on the skin. And more than anything, fresh air and natural light boost your mood. Fred, 75, used to spend most of his day inside. I thought rest was the best medicine, he said. But I was restless. I didn't feel fresh. I encouraged him to try just 10 minutes around the block in the early morning. Within a week, he was walking 20. I smell better, he told me. But more importantly, I feel better. I feel alive again. If you can take your walk before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m., when the sun is soft and gentle, let the light hit your face. Let the air move around you. And let your body slowly, naturally clear out what it no longer needs. And while we're on the topic of bathing in light, let's also talk about how you bathe. Because believe it or not, hot showers, really hot ones, can actually make odor worse. I know. A hot shower feels amazing, especially on sore muscles or in the cold months. But scalding water strips away your skin's protective barrier. It dries out your surface. It damages the balance. And when skin is dry and cracked, odor-causing bacteria have an easier time settling in. So next time, try this warm water only, between 100 and 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Just warm enough to feel good, not so hot. It steams up the mirror. Use mild soap. Be gentle. And once a week, soak in a warm bath for 15 to 20 minutes. This opens your pores, softens buildup, and lets the deep gunk rise to the surface and wash away. When you finish bathing, take a moment to really dry your skin, especially in the folds we talked about. Bacteria love dampness. A clean, dry body is a happy, healthy one. All of this, every single step, is about treating yourself with kindness, not punishment, not shame, not the voice in your head saying you're getting old, but a new voice. One that says, I care enough about myself to do this. Because these habits don't just change how you smell. They change how people experience you, how they connect with you, how you feel in your own skin. And once your skin is clean, your feet are fresh, your scalp is clear, and your body feels lighter from water and movement. There's one more place you need to care for. It's small, easy to overlook, but it has the power to either bring people closer or quietly push them away your mouth. It's one of the hardest things to admit, but it's also one of the most common causes of personal discomfort between loved ones. You can have the cleanest body in the world, wear the nicest clothes, and still, if your breath carries that faint sour scent, people notice. They won't say it out loud, but they'll pull back just a little. Avoid turning their face during a kiss on the cheek. Maybe even angle their body slightly when you talk. And you'll feel it. That tiny rejection. That invisible wall that makes closeness feel just out of reach. But again, this is not your fault. It's not poor hygiene. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's your body changing. After 60, our mouths get drier. Saliva production drops. And without saliva to rinse away bacteria and neutralize acid, odor-causing germs take over. You brush, you floss, you rinse, but your mouth still feels stale. So what can you do? You build a new routine, simple, gentle, and effective. First, brush 3 times a day. Yes, I know twice has always been the gold standard, but when your mouth is dry, bacteria builds up faster. A soft toothbrush, fluoride toothpaste. Focus especially along the gum line and the back of your mouth. That's where most of the odor-causing bacteria hide. And don't just brush fast. Take your time. Clean with care. Second, and this is a game changer, who's a tongue scraper, not just your toothbrush. A proper metal or plastic tongue scraper, the kind you can find at any pharmacy. Each morning after brushing, gently scrape your tongue from back to front. It only takes 10 seconds, but it can remove up to 90% of the bacteria that cause bad breath. Linted 73, who once told me her grandson avoided whispering games with her, said I gagged the first time, I'll be honest. But by day 3, I felt fresher. Now he leans in again, and I can whisper I love you without fear. Third, stimulate your saliva. A dry mouth is like a stagnant pond, it grows things. A moist mouth is like a flowing stream, clean, clear, and constantly refreshing itself. You can help your mouth stay moist by chewing sugar-free gum, especially the kind made with xylitol, just 10 minutes after meals. It doesn't just mask odor, it helps fight it. And always choose a gum that's gentle on your teeth. Also keep sipping warm water throughout the day. Not just in the morning, not just at meals. Keep your mouth hydrated naturally. Avoid alcohol-based mouthwashes, they only dry your mouth more. Instead, use mild, alcohol-free rinses. And if you can't brush after a meal, at least rinse your mouth with water to remove lingering food particles. Now you might be thinking, okay, I'm doing everything. My body's clean, my breath is fresh, so why do I still feel like there's a faint smell around me? That's when we have to look beyond the body at the things around you. Your clothes, your sheets, even your shoes. Because here's a little-known truth: odor doesn't just come from what's on your skin. It also lingers in what you wear, sleep in, and walk on. Your body might be spotless, but if your shirt has absorbed old skin oil or your pillowcase hasn't been changed in a week, that smell is going to stick. Start simple. Change your underwear and socks every single day, no matter what. Even if you stayed home all day. Even if they feel fine. These are the pieces of clothing that touch your warmest, most active areas, and they collect the most bacteria and odor. Cotton is best, it breathes and wicks moisture. And if you can let your skin air out for a few minutes before dressing. Clean skin in clean clothes, that's the magic combo. Next, think about where you sleep. We spend a third of our lives in bed. That's hours and hours every night lying on the same fabric, breathing into the same pillow. And whether you notice it or not, your skin sheds cells, your scalp releases oil, and your body sweats lightly while you sleep. All of that ends up in your sheets, your pillowcases. And yes, it adds to your overall scent, so wash your sheets and pillowcases once a week. No exceptions. Use a gentle detergent. And if you have the option, dry them in the sun. Even just an hour on the clothesline can work wonders. Sunlight is nature's disinfectant. It kills bacteria, lifts odors, and leaves things feeling fresh in a way machines just can't mimic. Shoes, rotate them. Don't wear the same pair every day. Shoes soak up sweat, especially from older feet that may have circulation issues. They rarely get the chance to breathe. So alternate pairs. Sprinkle baking soda in them at night to absorb odor. Set them outside for 10 or 15 minutes of sunlight each week. And never forget, clean feet in clean socks in fresh shoes. That's how you break the cycle. Lastly, open your windows. Every day. Even for just 10 minutes in the morning and 10 more in the evening. A closed room holds on to everything. Body heat, cooking smells, moisture from the bathroom. It all adds up. And even if you can't smell it anymore, visitors can. Fresh air resets a room, clears the space, revives the fabric, the carpet, the curtains. It's such a small act, and it makes such a big difference. Because here's the thing. You can clean yourself beautifully. But if your surroundings are stale, that staleness wraps itself around you like a coat. And people notice. Not because they're trying to judge, but because scent is the first sense that reaches them when they walk through the door. So do this for you. Keep your space as refreshed as your body. Not for appearances, not for perfection, but for peace, for dignity, for that deep sigh you take when your room feels open, bright, and welcoming again. Everything we've talked about, your skin, your scalp, your breath, your clothes, your room, it's all connected. And none of it has to be perfect. This is not about chasing youth. It's not about pretending to be 25 again. It's about caring for yourself with the same love you give to others. It's about small, meaningful habits that say, I'm still here. I still matter. I still deserve closeness, hugs, kisses, and presence. Margaret. She changed just a few things. Started drinking warm water. scrubbed behind her ears and under her chest, changed her pillowcase every Sunday. And the next time Ella visited, she crawled right back into Grandma's lap. No questions, no distance, just that soft kind of closeness we all long for. Because here's the truth, you were never dirty. You were never doing it wrong. You were simply changing. And no one told you how to care for your body as it changed. But now you know. And that knowledge, that's your power. And that's what this has always been about. Not blame, not shame, not criticism. Just awareness. Compassion. A soft, steady return to confidence. Because aging doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean you stop being loved or wanted or beautiful. It means you evolve. Your body changes, yes, but so does your strength. So does your tenderness. So does your wisdom. You're not the same person you were at 30 or 50. You've grown into someone who's survived things younger people can't imagine. You've held grief in one hand and joy in the other. You've made mistakes and forgiven yourself. You've watched the seasons change in your own body and still found ways to smile. That's not weakness. That's grace. That's living. And you deserve to feel good inside that body you've lived in for so long. So if there's a part of you that's been wondering lately, why do people sit a little farther away? Why don't the grandkids cuddle like they used to? Why do I feel invisible even when the room is full? Please know it's not just in your head, but also know it's not something broken. It's just something that needs a little care. And you can give that care to yourself. Maybe it starts with one warm glass of water tomorrow morning. Maybe you open the window and let the breeze in while you make your bed. Maybe you take a longer, slower shower and scrub behind your ears with more intention. Maybe you buy a new pillowcase and promise to change it every week. These aren't big gestures. They're small, soft acts of love. And the more you stack them up, the more you'll notice the shift, not just in your scent, but in your spirit. And here's the thing. People forget when you start caring for yourself like this, it shows. People feel it when they're near you. They feel your presence instead of your insecurity. They lean in instead of leaning away. Not because you're suddenly younger or different, but because you're comfortable in your skin again. That energy, that peace, it's magnetic. One of the greatest lies society tells us is that you fade with age. But I've seen with my own eyes how people glow again, light up when they feel clean, respected, and embraced. I've seen grandfathers hold their grandbabies close for the first time in years. I've seen older women walk into rooms with their heads high and their skin soft and fresh and loved. I've seen husbands say, "You smell like you again," and wives cry because they didn't even know what they'd lost. This journey isn't about chasing approval. It's about reclaiming comfort, closeness, connection. You don't need fancy lotions or trendy products to get there. You just need the truth, a gentle nudge, a voice that says, "It's okay. Here's what's happening. Here's what you can do. Let's walk through it together." Because nobody ever handed us a guidebook for this season of life. We weren't told that two non-anal would show up uninvited. We weren't warned that our mouths would feel drier or that old clothes could carry old energy. We weren't told that hugs would become rare, not from cruelty, but from discomfort. But we know now. And when we know better, we get to care better. And here's something I want you to hear as clearly as I can say it. You are not too old to change. Not too old to glow. Not too old to be wanted, touched, kissed, or held. You are not too far gone. You are not forgotten. There is no smell, no season, no sign of age that makes you unworthy of love. None. So take this moment wherever you're sitting right now to imagine what it would feel like to walk into a room and feel light again. To open your arms and feel someone fall into them without hesitation. To laugh and whisper and play without that tiny voice in your head wondering, do I smell okay? You can have that again. You really can. And if any part of this video made you feel seen, understood, or even just a little more hopeful, I hope you'll share it. Not because it makes us look good, but because there's someone else out there right now lying in bed the way Margaret once did, blinking at the ceiling, wondering if something's wrong with them. They don't need judgment. They need clarity. They need a voice that speaks gently like this one and says, you're not broken. You're just ready for a new rhythm of care. If you've already made one small change, maybe you started drinking warm water, maybe you aired out your room, maybe you just scrubbed a little more intentionally today, tell us in the comments below. Your story might be the nudge someone else needs. Your experience might make someone feel less alone. And if this video helped you feel more confident, please tap that like button. Share it with a friend. Subscribe to the channel. We make simple, honest, practical videos to help people age with grace, clarity, and confidence, because you deserve that. Every single day. And above all, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring for yourself. Thank you for walking through this part of life with courage and tenderness. You are not alone on this journey, and we're honored to grow older with you. Here's to softness. Here's to pride. Here's to sitting a little closer again. You deserve it.